Good morning. Like and subscribe. I focused in my earlier videos on social issues. I told you that Ukraine was going to lose the war, that Israel is going to lose the war, and I told you how they are connected to the Vatican, to Christianity, because they are the Judeo-Christians, the people who colonized and enslaved Africans. I could say a lot about the situation with the Asians, talk about the recent shooting of a 1-year-old at Walmart, but there are other channels that do a good job of discussing those things, and I will leave in my description a number of channels that you can go to know what's going on in the world, because don't expect the mainstream media to cover these things, because the mainstream media is, of course, owned by the powers to be. So I'm going to get strictly spiritual. Understand this. To know God is an honor, not a right. To know God is an honor, not a right. There are requirements to come close to God, and the requirements have levels. There are requirements to come close to knowing God, and these requirements have levels. Beginning with the 10 Commandments. Do not confuse having faith in God with knowing God. Do not confuse having faith in God with knowing God. Now, beginning with the 10 Commandments, do not confuse having faith in God with knowing God. People who pray and do as they please are gamblers, who find comfort in sitting on the fence. Their lives are a gamble, depending upon how far they stray away from biblical teachings. Then there are the believers who follow the 10 Commandments as best they can in this world of temptations, slightly leaving the path. Yahweh is forgiving and loving and does not expect you to be perfect. Then there are those who follow the 10 Commandments and also adhere to the biblical diet and respect all, but cannot be swayed from the Word of God. And what I mean by they respect all is that they respect the differences in people. They respect differences, but they are not going to let these differences sway them from God. Now let me stop here to say, Deuteronomy 22 verse 5 tells us homosexuality is an abomination and cannot be used to be fruitful and multiply. No one is born against the laws of nature, and all are expected to follow the laws of nature, which are God's law. Homosexuality is created by deviant behaviors of the parents and society. It is the first sin. Pedophilia is the greatest and the one demons enjoy the most. Understand this. The first commandment given to people was to be fruitful and multiply. We all have a purpose in life, and that purpose begins with being fruitful and multiplying. Any organization that promotes, takes part, and protects pedophiles must understand there are no reparations for such acts. There is no prerequisite for forgiveness. There is no prerequisite for forgiveness. Understand this. To think one deserves forgiveness from Yahweh and has not paid reparations to the people they harm is to think God is an enabler of evil. Let me repeat that because that's very important. To think one deserves forgiveness from Yahweh and has not paid reparations to the person or people they have harmed is to think God is an enabler of their evil. Such people have never known God nor care to. Understand this. If you do evil, this is just common spirituality 101. If you do evil and God forgives you without you paying reparation, then God is enabling you to do this. And this defies the law. This defies the law of God. God is not going to enable you to commit sins. And if God forgives you, then that's rewarding you. You don't break into a bank and then you ask forgiveness and then you keep the money. That's ludicrous. Understand this. There are levels to evil and there are levels to good. The Kabbalion levels in the Kabbalion, levels are known as polarity. In the Kabbalion, levels are known as polarity. Polarity is one of the 7 laws of God that is a consistent truth. One could refer to the laws as the science of spirituality. The science of spirituality is a much higher level when we speak of knowing God. We can only know Yahweh by knowing and understanding the laws of God, which are like gravity and magnetism. They can't be seen, however, they can be felt. I explain this for those whose spiritual nature desire is to know God on a higher level. There are levels to this. The Kabbalion calls this polarity. However, before one desires to know the laws of God intimately, one must first conquer the first level and not skip tests and not skip steps. Only a fool climbs a ladder that is not secured at the base. And when I'm talking about the base, I'm talking about, first of all, avoiding homosexual acts. You can't be fruitful and multiply. Secondly, you have to follow the 10 commandments. You have to eat the diet in the Bible. This is the base from which you can grow spiritually. But you can't skip steps. That's like trying to skip a step on a ladder. And I'm explaining this to those who want to grow spiritually and to become closer to God. One must understand that the cost of knowledge, spiritual knowledge, is a responsibility. It is like putting an atomic bomb in the hands of a demon. You can't put an atomic bomb in the hands of a demon. You must understand this. With knowledge comes responsibility. And that responsibility is to create order in society. It is to create order in society. There is a difference between knowledge and intelligence. The nature of intelligence is spiritual. The nature of knowledge is mortal. Intelligence is the mother of necessity. It is creative. It is creativity. Knowledge is mortal and can be learned by all and misused by all. This is why you must create the base first. You must follow the 10 Commandments and the other rules that I have told you, you must create the base first. Because that is intelligence. That is spiritual intelligence. Intelligence is the science of spirituality. Knowledge is just taking what somebody has taught you and using it. And you can't give knowledge. This is the mistake that Hebrew Israelites have made. Giving knowledge, using their creative intelligence to create knowledge, and then giving that knowledge to people that are undeserving and don't have the intelligence to use it wisely. You can't give intelligence to people who don't know how to use it wisely. And see, the world has been lucky. Because of racism, Hebrew Israelites, the intellectual and creative force of America, has been pushed out of the defense industry. And this is why Russia, Iran, and China had surpassed the United States in military technology. And this is why Hebrew Israelites, we must separate ourselves from Caucasians. We must separate ourselves from Caucasians and not follow the blueprint that they've created, which creates wars, air pollution, water pollution, and just deletions of human beings. Now, I don't want to be super specific, but I'm going to tell you this. People that are spiritually knowledgeable will grasp and understand what I am saying. Those who are not spiritually knowledgeable, they will debate what I'm saying. And that's a good thing, because they are not meant to understand. They are not meant to understand. For the reasons that I've told you before. I don't want to increase the science of spirituality to those who lack intelligence but have the ability to learn. Because if I do, they're going to misappropriate the knowledge. But it's one thing, I'm going off track now to say this. Asians, you came to America because you were poor. China, your country is, with all due respect, your country is pathetic. I mean, you can show us the glitz and the glamour, but your country, you have apartment buildings that are just a little bit further away from each other than my chair. They are that close, they are this far apart, where sunlight can't even get through. You have rooms, entire apartments, no bigger than my living room. You came to America as beggars. Jesse Jackson helped you to get where you got today. And Frederick Douglass, even back in the 1700s, spoke up for you. Because Caucasians did not want you here. We made it possible for you to come here. And people, the poorest Americans live better than the poorest people in China. And you should be thankful to be here. But now, understand this. You have betrayed us. But this isn't personal. We are going to build our own We are going to take back what we have given you. We are going to take back what we have given you. Understand it. We are taking back what we have given you because you have been unappreciative. And now you have the audacity to want to threaten us. What you make in a year in China, middle class people make in a month in America. Everything you have, Asians, especially China, everything that you have in America was given to you by Hebrew Israelites, God's chosen people. And you have been unappreciative, and we're taking it back. You can call this karma. You can call this karma. You voted for a felon. You voted for a man who promised to show the Epstein tapes. And only God knows what he is doing on those tapes to young Caucasian girls. Only God knows what he's doing to young girls in those videos. And MAGA Republican, those are your children. Those are your children that are being taken advantage of. And if Epstein had been arrested when he was first accused of these atrocities, how many young white girls would be living the life of their dreams? How many young white women and boys have been abused?